Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Friday. By the way, coming up here at the bottom of the hour, our Hollywood conservative Mr. X will be joining us. Talk to him a little about this Ricky Gervais speech he made, which was quite funny, by the way. We'll talk to him about that. How's Hollywood reacting? Also, the guys from Six Gun Music will be joining us, presenting me with a personalized guitar. I'm looking forward to that. Of course, when I benefit from something, I always look forward to it. But joining us on the line right now, we all benefit in Las Vegas from her reporting. What places that you probably should avoid as far as restaurants go in Las Vegas? Her Dirty Dining segments weekly on 13 Action News are fantastic. Darcy Spears joining us right now on the line. Darcy, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well.
Happy New Year.
So I am one, Darcy, that has suffered at times from acid reflux, right? I'll go into a restaurant, and it's not fun. My mom has had it, and I have it. And now you're telling me that a restaurant has been so kind as to put some acid reflux medication into their food. I believe they did it accidentally. Can you tell us what's going on here?
Not even a little bit accidentally. Not even a little bit. But, you could make the argument from the flip side that if Indian food gives you heartburn, you're not going to get it from the bread, at least not at Delhi Indian cuisine.
Oh, my goodness. How the hell does that happen?
So health inspectors, obviously, they go through the kitchen with a fine-tooth comb every time they go to do an inspection, and they found this medication in the kitchen, and they asked the person in charge, is this for an employee? What's the deal with this? And they said, oh, no, we use that as a leavening agent in our dough. And it's got an innocuous enough name on the front. It's called Eno fruit salt. But then when you turn the label around and you read the back, you find that it is manufactured in India by Southern Drugs and Pharmaceuticals for GlaxoSmithKline, which is a pharmaceutical giant across the world, as many of us may know. And the label identifies it specifically as a medicine intended only for treatment of acid reflux. Apparently, this restaurant discovered that it also helps dough rise, but guess what? You can't do that.
Oh, my God. So do you think this sets a precedence, though, Darcy? Like, for example, if they're serving food in strip clubs, do you think they'll put some blue pills in some of their food? I'm sorry, that was a horrible joke. I'm sorry.
It was a horrible joke, but I don't know. I mean, I would imagine that there are a lot of people out there who have a policy to just not eat in strip clubs.
That's true.
That's a good policy.
That's
I
true.
don't know how the food and that activity go together, but it is what it is. You know what totally shocked me, though, is when we posted the story online in the comments section, someone else said that this is a common practice to use that ingredient in bread in Indian restaurants. And they're claiming that it's essentially baking soda. And I questioned them back online saying, okay, then why not just use actual baking soda?
Right.
Clearly, if it's labeled as a medication, it's not intended for use as a food ingredient. And you never know how it can affect the general public. There might be an adverse reaction, and you have no idea why.
But Darcy, this is the incredible thing about this. Maybe you could shed some light on this because you have experience with it. This Indian cuisine was open the next day. How is that possible?
When you look at the pictures that the health district took, it was pretty filthy. So the only thing I can assume is that maybe they were up all night long with a lot of people helping, and they managed to scrub that kitchen down and clean everything up and throw away what they had to throw away to the point where the health inspector was satisfied upon reinspection that,
Wow.
They were back where they needed to be. Sometimes, it's not super uncommon that we see that. They might have hired a cleaning crew. They might have brought in anybody and everybody that they know so they didn't have to, stay in the condition they were in for any length of time. But yeah, it is a little surprising that they could have made it that clean, that fast.
Well, I won't be there anytime soon. I'll tell you that. Maybe unless I have some heartburn or indigestion. But
Hey, and be sure you get the bread.
Yeah, exactly. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Channel 13's Darcy Spears. Her Dirty Dining segments air Wednesday and Thursday nights on Channel 13. Okay, so nothing gets me more hungry, Darcy, especially around lunchtime when I hear of rats, mice, and droppings. But I guess there is an Eastern. I'm being serious now. Eastern indoor swap meet on Eastern and Owens where they found this sort of stuff. This is absolutely disgusting. Tell me a little bit about this.
So apparently there are a number of restaurants inside this Eastern indoor swap meet, all different kinds of cuisine. Wasn't aware that it was a dining destination, but apparently it is, and not just for people, because the whole place was just infested with rodents, not just rats, but also mice. So it was, an equal opportunity offender in that regard. But there were 3 restaurants that were shut down in the Eastern Indoor Swap Meet because of a rodent infestation. And there were rodent feces just literally all over the place, on shelves with food, on kitchen equipment. There was a bucket with a dead rat in it behind the drink cooler. God. I'm not sure if they killed the rat and stowed it there or if the rat crawled in and died. I don't know.
Maybe the rat ate the food there. Who knows?
Maybe the rat ate and got food poisoning, for all we know.
What was it? Was this place called Vermin King? What was the name of the place?
So we have 3. We have Sonia's Mexican and Japanese cuisine. We have Una Flor in Michoacan, and we have Mariscocos Areola.
Wow.
All 3 of them had all kinds of rats and the leave-behinds. They found nests where the rodents had,
Nests?
made a home.
This sounds worse than my 04 Hyundai Elantra. This is terrible.
It sounds like Ratatouille to me.
God, this is terrible.
Without the ability.
And without the, high-end French cuisine.
Yeah.
So is it true that is it true that this place, Dirty Fork, is that what you were referring to? One of these places, Dirty Fork. Am I wrong that he said that the inspection was unfair, too harsh, and that his restaurant didn't deserve a grade C? Is this for real?
If you name your place Dirty Fork, I mean, are you telling it like it is? I don't know.
The guy has rats running around all over the place. The name of the place is Dirty Fork.
Rats at Dirty Fork.
No,
okay.
That was a whole other thing.
But
actually, because we were on hiatus, we went back through the month of December and made sure that, even the 2 weeks that we weren't on the air, we were still collecting restaurant inspections, and we put all that information out there so that people didn't miss out on, what the health district turned up during that time that we were off the air. But
gotcha, okay.
The most recent high demerit restaurant was Dirty Fork on Durango, and the owner did tell me he thought he didn't deserve a C. The inspector wasn't fair. He actually scheduled an interview with me, and then maybe 3 minutes later called me back and goes, maybe not. Maybe I don't want to draw that much attention to myself.
Yeah, it's probably
probably a decent decision.
Yeah, probably a real good decision.
It sounds like these 3 restaurants that had the vermin problem. It's almost like they didn't even know that not having rats in their restaurant was illegal.
Considering the fact that they were nesting and that there were just droppings everywhere you turn, they had to have seen something.
Yeah. I just don't understand how they just let something like that go. It's just disgusting to me.
Yeah,
Again,
it's completely filthy.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Channel 13's Darcy Spears. Her Dirty Dining segments airing Wednesday and Thursday nights on Channel 13. All right, whenever I hear the word tofu, it makes me want to vomit anyway, regardless of what is going on in the restaurant, because I can't stand.
Not a fan, huh?
Yeah, no, I hate it.
Stand
I just like
either.
I like anything that's unhealthy. But apparently, there's this place called Mr. Soon Tofu on Spring Mountain in Arville that was shut down on December 20th. What did they do wrong?
So that one didn't have a whole ton of violations. That one, I don't have the actual health inspection of that one in front of me, but it was I believe it was like potentially a no hot water situation, if I remember correctly, and then there was just a couple of other violations.
Right.
But the one that really stood out as opposed to that one was Taqueria El Buen Pastor.
Mm-hmm.
That is a name that is the biggest dirty dining repeat offender of all time. They have multiple locations. Every one of their Las Vegas locations has been on dirty dining, most of them multiple times. One of them actually got shut down permanently. I do not quite understand why they can't get it right. They're never friendly. They never want to talk to us. But every time their name pops up on another health inspection, I'm like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. Why can't they figure this out?
The fact that they're open again is beyond me. That's incredible. There's another place. I go to the Fashion Show Mall not very frequently, just because things there are just way too expensive and snooty for me. But
you just have horrible fashion sense. I mean, let's be honest.
Says the guy wearing the pink shirt. But anyway, let's get back to
with pride.
Darcy, so what happened at this restaurant at Fashion Show Mall? My understanding is a C grade on December 19th. What took place here?
The owner of Solo Key and I had an exceedingly lengthy telephone conversation. She was on fire about what went down there. The things that really stood out in there, of course, were the expired food. There was like cheese and minestrone soup that were about 2 weeks past their expiration dates. Ugh. She tried to tell me that the cheese was delivered with the already expired, and that the manufacturer said they were going to come back and pick it up. But then the manufacturer said, oh, wait, no, that's a manufacture date, not an expiration date. And I looked at the picture and I'm like, but it says best by this date. It doesn't say made on, it says best by. So we had a little discussion about that and agree to disagree. She said the minestrone soup, I guess they must have forgotten to throw that away. But she was, as I said, on fire about how unfair she believed the health inspection was and how overly strict she believes the health code to be. Saying that it was just far too nitpicky, and she kept on saying, we don't run a piggery. We don't run a piggery. A C grade indicates that you have a piggery, and that's not what we have going on here.
Yeah, because nothing spells piggery, I would say, more, though, than serving cheese that is 2 weeks old. That is absolutely disgusting. But I would respectfully disagree with her on that one. Wow. We covered a lot of restaurants, Darcy, in a short period of time here. And also, of course, you can catch Darcy on Channel 13. Darcy, can you spread a little bit of that information for us, for people that want to follow you on social media and want to watch your Dirty Dining segments on television? How do they do so?
Catch me. Well, you can catch this whole report. And as you were just saying, there were a ton of restaurants and a ton of information. And I spent a lot of time getting all that detail onto the web for everybody. So at ktnv.com, on the Dirty Dining page, it's all there for you. The report that we had on the air, as well as all the details that we couldn't get on the air. So you can always go to ktnv.com if you missed it on the air on Wednesday nights at 11 or Thursday at 6:30. And then, of course, everything is always posted on my Facebook page, as well as I tweet out a link to it on my Twitter feed, DSPINV13. So you can find me just about anywhere. And don't forget, if you have tips about a place that you believe needs to be on Dirty Dining, send those to the health district first, because if they find there's a problem, we'll find out about it.
One of those tips I would give you is my mom's kitchen. She's a horrible cook, but that's another story for another show. Anyway, Darcy, thank you so much
I sense some domestic issues here.
Just a few.
And they have no jurisdiction in Connecticut.
For the record, she doesn't serve rats, though, because rats are not kosher. Anyway, Darcy, thank you so much for joining us. We also post all this stuff on our Twitter page at The Vegas Take as well. Darcy, always good to hear from you. Keep up the great work, and we look forward to catching up with you next week, okay?
Yes, thanks for having me.
All right, appreciate
thanks
it.
a lot, Darcy.
There you go, Darcy Spears, the Dirty Dining Girl, as I like to call her, Channel 13. She does a fantastic job.
She is evolving into the female version of Chris Matthews for restaurants.
Yes, you don't want to see Darcy Spears if you own a restaurant and she walks in the door. That is for sure. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we had these guys on our show a few months ago. They're professional pranksters. They're a comedy group called The Good Liars. And they pulled a nice prank when it comes to Donald Trump Jr. It involves a poster. We'll explain exactly what that means. Coming up next, you're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.